Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Find a living in fisheries. The UAS Fisheries Technology Program offers online study from anywhere in Alaska, plus labs and workshops in many Alaska towns.
Is most likely a chum.
Find your living without leaving where you are. Fisheries Technology from UAS.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again, everyone, and thanks for joining us for Monday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy. Satellite imagery for today showing clouds here scattered across the panhandle with some showers up to the north and then continuing to spread westward here. A lot heavier cloud mass in the Gulf of Alaska, keeping wet conditions, unsettled weather here along the southern coast of the Kenai Peninsula. Showery conditions, definitely cloudy skies across all of southern Alaska here back out to the west. Start breaking up a little bit along the southwest coast. And more clouds down across Kodiak. Some breaks up there over the north-central interior, or the central interior, east to west, and back into some more clouds along the Arctic coast north slope, especially back out here to the west. Out in the Bering Sea, same pattern we've seen, southeasterly flow here, so you're looking at clearer skies on the northwest side of the Alaska Peninsula with showers along and to the south, and just scattered showers rotating in across the Bering Sea. Large area low pressure near the central Aleutians, the center, right, as you can see, kind of right in there. Really not moving much and not a lot of strong winds with it. Strongest winds out to the west here, shimmying, then back northwest across the Bering Strait and into the Chukchi Sea. But even those winds, no more than 30-40 miles an hour, and that's about it in the stronger areas. But got showers here over the western Aleutians, and then that extends up to the northwest. And rolling that once again, you can see the clouds right through here kind of stalling along the Brooks Range. More of a westerly flow to the north. And for the graphic today, today's analysis, you can see southeast flow, periods of rain all across the Kenai Peninsula from southern Cook Inlet and Kodiak, spreading up, becoming more showery up along the North Gulf Coast, especially from Cordova over toward Yakutat, and scattered showers here across the Panhandle. Otherwise, some sunshine breaking out over the Tanana Valley and 40 Mile Country here, back into some more clouds, a little bit more in the way of sunshine up over the Yukon Flats, and kind of a hole in the clouds back out here to the west. Cloudy skies, Chukchi Sea and the Bering down, of course, with the frontal boundary there, but just a narrow band of light precipitation with that. And then this rather large but weak low pressure center near the central Aleutians. Mostly cloudy skies, scattered showers across the entire area there. Winds not all that strong at all, pretty light actually, until you get out towards Shimei and Attu, a little gustier, and again following the gradient right up into the Chukchi Sea, then back into the light wind conditions for much of the Arctic coast, and that's going to continue for the next couple of days up in that area. And for tonight, not much change here. That front still hung up near Kodiak Island. Northwest or northeast of that, southeast flow, keeping moisture surges coming in on the southern and southeast coast of the Kenai Peninsula, on up into and mostly western Prince William Sound, and then scattered showers to the entire North Gulf Coast. Less of that by far down over the Panhandle with some clearing, and mostly dry, and the showers just restricted to the Lynn Canal Glacier Bay areas after midnight. Otherwise, a band of light precipitation over the southwest interior and some scattered rain or snow showers here over the mostly over the mountainous terrain there of the Alaska Range. Dry north of that area, and then same story there in the North Slope. Surges of Low clouds, fog, flurries coming around from the north and northeast with the main high center back there northwest of Wrangel Island. But the gradient certainly tightens up here and stays that way for the extreme western Arctic coast down in the Chukchi Sea. And windiest conditions back down across the far western Bering Sea into the Aleutians, but not all that strong. And then for tomorrow, not a lot of change. The low center lifts north of the central Aleutians here. So again, pretty light winds with cloudy skies, areas of light rain showers. Back to the west, a little bit more wind again towards Shemya, and some scattered rain and snow showers possible for the St. Lawrence Island area. And a narrow band along this trough axis, kind of the remnants of that front, keeping some showers, mostly along the southwest coast here. South side of Nunivak Island, in across Togiak Bay, Dillingham, on up into King Salmon. Mostly cloudy, areas of light rain possible here, south central Alaska, especially Cook Inlet southward, and on the south coast of the Kenai Peninsula once again. Same sort of pattern, southeasterly flow but weakening. And then we have this stronger system developing and moving northeast, so that's going to bring some gale force winds into the southern southeast coast tomorrow afternoon with rain spreading northward. And by this time tomorrow, it could be as far north as somewhere north of Port Alexander, and then off to the southeast, or maybe a little bit farther to the south, but definitely a downward trend in the conditions in that area with increasing winds. Northern areas staying pretty nice through tomorrow and into early tomorrow evening. Still a chance of showers, North Gulf Coast, as I mentioned, up into western Prince William Sound. Copper River Basin dry, variably cloudy, into the Tanana Valley. Maybe some isolated snow showers up there to the northwest and the northeast. And then again, no change for the Arctic coast North Slope areas with the breeziest conditions out here over the Chukchi Sea. Offshore flow, probably looking at some pretty good areas of VFR due to the offshore wind flow there with showers possible northeastern Norton Sound. And again, a little bit more, not much more, but better chance for St. Lawrence Island. And then for Wednesday, that same sort of pattern out here, mostly cloudy, risk of an isolated rain or snow shower, northern Bering, maybe the Seward Peninsula, basically dry though over much of the interior. Scattered isolated showers breaking out in the afternoon, but again, nothing significant, no thunderstorms in the forecast yet. Mostly sunny, Koyukuk Valley on up to the Brooks Range, back out to the west where winds will stay on the gusty side up there. With that high center now north-northeast of Wrangel Island, but weakening to 1,021 millibars. But the difference between the low here over the Yukon Delta and that high will keep it pretty breezy up through this area from the Bering Strait northward, and then dropping off here considerably from Point Lay on east. Just really light winds or variable conditions over the eastern coast. And we've still got this system sitting off the coast. That front swings on through during the night on Tuesday and moves off into British Columbia, dissipates. This slowly weakens there west of Sitka, and then that's going to just throw surges of moisture associated with each trough, kind of rotating around the low like a pinwheel, with the heaviest amounts over the southern panhandle, lighter, more scattered in nature to the north, dry for the North Gulf Coast, maybe some sun breaks also for south central Alaska. Definitely for Kodiak Island with ridging or westerly wind flow there, so look for a sunny afternoon. Especially on the east side of the island, but that'll probably extend back into northeast Bristol Bay as well. Just some scattered showers along the Aleutian and southern Alaska range. Weak low over the Yukon Delta, or actually over the Yukon Delta. We'll keep a chance of showers along the Kuskokwim Delta coast, back across Nunivak Island, nothing heavy at all. Possible showers scattered, isolated in the Kuskokwim Valley, dry up to the north, and enough gradient here to keep it probably windy through the passes of the Brooks Range. Otherwise, no change up there for the North Slope. Like we've seen for the last several days, still have this low there just north of the central Aleutians, gradually weakening, 995 millibars now, and but the gradient out here, even out to the west now, not much really in the way of any significant wind or weather, with isolated snow showers up to the Bering Strait. Temperatures this afternoon for the Panhandle, again, no surprises, upper 40s to mid 50s. Although Stewart up to 61, 48 at Elfin Cove, 50 degrees Skagway, upper 40s North Gulf Coast from Yakutat to Cordova, and 40s across the Kenai Peninsula, south central Alaska. Homer up to 51 though, lower to mid 40s for Kodiak, 56 there in the Susitna Valley at Talkeetna, 57 Gulkana, as well as up at Delta, Fairbanks, 56 degrees, matched by Eagle. much cooler 43 west there at Tanana. And then Fort Yukon 39 above, 42 at Bettles, chilling down to 16 at Anaktuvik, and then that temperature pattern extends out to the Arctic coast. Some areas even colder out there, right around 5 or a little above there, 5 to 10 this afternoon along the coastline. 30s northwest interior, upper 40s down toward Nome. Nice 57 degrees this afternoon, both Nikolai and McGrath, dropping off, but not too bad, 52 Bethel. Lower 40s along the coast, 29 Savunga. Upper 30s, lower 40s for the Pribilofs, mid 40s here, lower to mid for the central Aleutians, and also for the Alaska Peninsula on up and across Bristol Bay. For tonight, lows 30s, mid to upper here from Bristol Bay to the eastern Aleutians, all the way out to Shemya. Lower 30s cool to the upper 20s for St. Lawrence Island. And again, temperatures running 0 to as low as 10 below here over the eastern North Slope areas, a little above 0 on the west side. 30s, lower 30s for the Tanana Valley. South central Alaska, though, upper 30s to lower 40s, much like we saw this morning, and that pattern right on down the southeast coast. Then for the highs tomorrow, central interior here, Susitna Valley, Tanana Valley, especially over toward McGrath again, highs approaching 60 degrees, otherwise in the 50s. A little cooler down toward the coast, upper 40s to lower 50s for the Panhandle. 40s out west, just 39 though at St. Paul, and then down to 30 for Savunga. And again, north of the Brooks Range, temperatures in the teens and single numbers. Looking at the flying weather tomorrow morning, good possibility of seeing some IFR up there over the North Slope and Arctic coast at times throughout the entire night tonight and into early tomorrow morning. Again, lowest conditions here on the eastern slopes, western Alaska range, especially down to the south, southern Kenai Peninsula, otherwise marginal VFR up along the North Gulf Coast. VFR over much of the Panhandle, big area IFR here from Nunivak Island all the way out to the far western Aleutians. And then for tomorrow afternoon, that doesn't change a whole lot, right up to the Yukon Delta coastline, well north of the Pribilofs, areas IFR possible way out west, otherwise just areas of marginal VFR. Aleutians, Bering Sea, and no change here. South central Alaska, lowest conditions on the upsloping mountain areas, especially to the south. And then IFR still in the forecast north of the Brooks Range. Passes Anaktuvik and Adigan, VFR day again tomorrow. Lake Clark and Merrill, marginal VFR, lowest conditions with possible IFR on the eastern approach of Lake Clark Pass. And then for rainy, occasionally marginal. Again, marginal will probably be found on this eastern entrance with probably staying VFR out to the west, hopefully. Windy though VFR, Mentasta, Isabel, another VFR day. And for Tanita, same thing. Portage though, marginal at times. And Chilkoot and White, VFR. Freezing levels, 2,000 feet here, all the way up to the southern slopes of the Brooks Range, back out across the northern Seward Peninsula, but 4,000 feet lagging way down here over the southern Panhandle. And for icing, look for, with that next storm coming in, icing threats increase. Tomorrow afternoon, icing or light to possibly moderate at times, rolling in late tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening from south, again pushing a little bit to the north, but not too fast. And then areas of here for the Prince William Sound, roughly Cape Yakataga down to Fognak Island, eastward to Kuskokwim Bay. And then for the winds aloft, jet stream, high pressure over northwest Canada, ridging up into the east central interior, and a strong jet over the Pacific, splitting right through here, but not too strong of a branch coming up from the southeast. Very weak wind flow at this elevation. So again, with it so far to the south, the storm track, no big storms coming to affect Alaska in the next couple of days. And for 9,000 feet, we've got a narrow bit, well, pretty good winds with this thing coming up. So, so that will be affecting the southern Panhandle tomorrow afternoon. But with some 40 to 45 knot winds approaching Prince of Wales Island, maybe farther north. Pretty light though over the northern Panhandle, but a narrow band of east-southeasterlies at about 25 coming across along the North Gulf Coast, in across the Kuskokwim Valley, light up to the north, light out in the Bering Sea. And with this system, really 10 to 20 knots about sums it up, with the 30 knotters west of Shemya to the Komodorskis. 3,000 foot wind flow chart, much the same pattern here, even lighter, 5 to 10 knots over much of the interior, maybe 20 knots picking up to 30 out of the northeast, St. Lawrence Island, and then way back to the west, dropping southward. Otherwise, we're looking at pretty light winds, 15 to 25 along the North Gulf Coast, and then much stronger coming in tomorrow afternoon toward the southern Panhandle. Turbulence with that, look for moderate chop definitely to start showing up from Dixon entrance, spreading to southern Prince of Wales Island, over to Annette, Metlakatla, possibly Ketchikan, smooth to the north, smooth over much of the interior, and light isolated moderate chop here northwest to the Bering Strait and over the far western Aleutians. And after the segment, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecasts.
Another area where the Federal Aviation Administration is using technology in advancing aviation safety is in the use of remote weather cameras as a tool to aid pilots in making safe flight decisions. Hello, I'm Sheila Balistreri.
So in '99, we really started what we currently call the Alaska Weather Camera Program. We say Alaska because it's the only place in the FAA that has this. One, it's available through the internet so that the pilots, their family, their friends, they can all take a look at what the weather's like before you go there. In addition, we have all of that available within all of our flight service stations so that each flight service station technician can call up and look at weather real time. And with that, provide a better briefing, whether it's pre-flight or in-flight for the pilots. By far the most popular thing we've ever done.
The weather camera system has been a good one. I'm sure you can tell from the, if you had access to the number of hits that they get that, on each site, that they're well used and they save a lot of gasoline, they save a lot of time for passengers out turning around in weather and coming back when a pilot can just look at the camera and make a decision based on that rather than going out and actually looking at the weather.
When we look at the cameras, and if it's a definite no-go situation, then we're not able, we don't send an airplane out to take a look at it and then have to just spend the gas and the time and energy to go out, take a look at it, and just turn around and come back.
By placing weather cameras throughout the state, we've certainly come a long way. Today, we have 55 cameras throughout the state, an investment of $7 million. 12 new sites are scheduled to be up and running by this October. This concept, I think, is stunning in its simplicity. The pilot goes online and can view 2 images for each location. The first shows what the site would look like in a perfectly clear day situation. The second shows current weather conditions. Pilots can now learn what the visibility is in the mountain pass they face and whether they want to fly through it before they take off. In many instances, they may decide not to fly, to hold on that flight for a while, depending upon what they see. And that's long before they set foot in the aircraft.
Alaska is a huge state, and the area covered so far by weather cams is comparatively small. In order for the project to be completed, 165 already identified sites need to be added. In what may be considered counterintuitive, many of these weather cameras are not placed at airports, but are positioned in or near mountain passes and other geographical areas, which are often used by pilots as navigational aids. Others are located at rural airports, where there are no weather observers or co-located with automated weather systems. Pilots report that the value in these weather cameras is the real-time information they receive about destination and route conditions. Flight service specialists also have access to the weather camera images and routinely brief pilots with the most up-to-date information before takeoff and during their flight.
We use the weather cams in 2 basic ways here at the flight service station. For self-briefing, to get ready to be able to brief the pilots, to look at the weather cam where we have an airport with a weather report. We can compare what we see on the screen with what the weather report says. Where we do not have weather reports available, then we can look at the camera and again get a picture of what the weather is like at those locations.
When I get up in the morning, the first thing I do is pull up the weather cameras to all the destinations in the southeast and check that against the actual reports at that station, and it gives you a lot better picture of what the weather's doing than what we used to enjoy with just the observation. I'm sure all the pilots are doing the same thing. I know all of our pilots do. A well-placed camera looking in 3 different directions, there's nothing like that. Be able to see in real time what your weather actually looks like before you take off.
Cost benefit is quite a bit as far as saving us money. We don't launch a flight when we know that the weather is bad, when we can see it on the cameras that the weather is bad at our destination.
When the weather cam system was first proposed, there were some people who doubted its utility, and as they've come online, we've seen how the pilots really like to be able to see those pictures. They value it, and as they become available to us as briefers, we value it too.
I do thank you also for the cameras. I personally have used the cameras. I think that probably the one that's most used is the one over going through the pass into Lake Clark, and from time to time I get calls that it may not be functioning properly, which I'm pleased to say that Mr. Poe responds to very quickly.
During a recent independent study of Alaska pilots who have used the system, 68% reported making decisions to cancel or delay flights based on weather camera information. Pilots also reported that these decisions help them avoid additional fuel costs from flights that must be diverted or repeated due to bad weather. Now, these safety and economic advantages generated more than 2.3 million hits this past year on the FAA's Alaska WeatherCam website.
Welcome back. Looks like gale force winds from the south and southeast turning east up to 35 knots for the south coast tomorrow. Seas building 10 to 11 feet. East winds increasing to 20 knots in the afternoon for the central coast, and only 15 up to the north. Inside waters pretty light, mostly out of the north, 5 to 15 knots, but Clarence Strait, southeast kicking up to, well, good enough for small craft advisories tomorrow afternoon. And then on Wednesday, that low staying off the coast here, but weakening. So small craft advisories out of the southeast, dropping back to 20 knots here for the central coast. Swinging around to northwest at 15 up north, and no change over the northern inside waters. Winds pretty light and possibly variable. Southeasterlies coming down to 20 for Clarence Strait. Prince William Sound east 15 tomorrow. A little brisker here in the Gulf with winds at 20 knots right across the Barrens on into Kachemak Bay. And then northeast 20 south of the Forelands and a little lighter north of there. Kodiak Island, pretty light winds, east-northeast 10 to 15. Outlook for Wednesday, swinging around to the southwest here, 15 to 20 knots, strongest on the east side of Kodiak here, 15 knotters up into the Barren Islands. So not too strong at all, and then turning west-southwest and only 10 knots for the North Gulf Coast. So really light wind day coming up here, especially for Prince William Sound and all of Cook Inlet, variable at 10 or less with 2 to 3 foot seas. Tuesday, Bristol Bay, east 10, south 10 knots for the peninsula, all the way over to Sitkinak. And Wednesday, not really much more in the way of anything except maybe 15 knot winds now. South turning southwest from Castle Cape to Sitkinak. Light variable winds, you could call it, for Bristol Bay. Really all the way down the coastline here with seas pretty slight. And for the Fox Islands, south-southwest or so, 15 knots, 4 to 7 foot seas, and no small craft advisories even for not only for the eastern but the central Aleutians until you get out here to the west, still hanging on to northerlies at 25, 9 foot seas west of Kiska Island. And then for Wednesday, northwesterlies 25 out west, dropping back to 20 knots. A little bit more of a breeze here for the Adak-Atka areas, northwest 15 to 20, and then staying light for the Fox Islands, west-southwest to south 15. And for the southwest coast, very light winds, east-northeast at 10, but picking up to 25 knots, continuing there with a stronger wind, St. Lawrence Island, down near and west of St. Matthew Island, east 15 for the Pribilofs. Outlook for Wednesday, East 10 for the Pribilof, so really a couple light wind days coming up there, as well as south of Nunivak Island, swinging around to the southeast, but staying variable or north up here on the north of the island there, but definitely picking up to 25 knots again there for St. Lawrence Island, falling back to 20 knots now for the areas west of St. Matthew Island. Along the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, really light winds actually from the central coast all the way over to Demarcation Point, light north drift. Definitely stronger. We've got brisk wind advisories here on the western coast, extending all the way down to the Bering Strait. And taking a look at Wednesday, we'll see those fall back here a little bit, well, down under brisk wind advisory levels, about 20 knots, but 30 knot winds still in the forecast for the area from Cape Thompson to Cape Beaufort, falling back to 20 out of the east on the west side, and then the central coast on east, light variable winds through Wednesday afternoon and into the evening. For tonight, again, a very slow moving frontal boundary that's actually pretty weak as well. Areas of precipitation right along either side of the boundary itself, and then that east-southeast flow continuing to pump moisture up in the form of rain and clouds, light rain and clouds. Some of that getting into Prince William Sound a little bit more, scattered showers in North Gulf Coast, and showers now isolated over the northwest part of the Panhandle or off the coast. No change over the interior, no change for the Arctic coast and North Slope, no change here for the northwest coast as well in the Chukchi Sea, and still looking breezy with scattered rain and snow showers out over the western areas, large lows staying put here for the next couple of days. So that general weather pattern will persist. Maybe some more rain, but generally just showery, light winds, strongest out to the west, and then some showers along this trough. Nothing significant, definitely not any significant wind. Stays unsettled here, south central Alaska, with the wettest conditions along the coast into Prince William Sound. Next storm driving up toward the Panhandle with wind and rain tomorrow afternoon, weakens and stays off the coast for showery conditions through Wednesday.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.